Miller got lucky. That's what the other soldiers said after Private Danny Miller saved Michael Jackson from a terrorist attack at Ramstein Air Base. After he noticed the wrong uniform patch that every trained security professional had missed. After he tackled a Baader-Meinhof terrorist who was seconds away from killing the King of Pop. After he prevented what could have been the deadliest terrorist attack on American forces in West Germany since the Cold War began. Miller got lucky. Pure dumb luck. He's still useless. Danny sat in the barracks common room 2 days after the incident, listening to his squad mates talk about him like he wasn't there. Miller can't even tie his boots right. You think he actually knew that guy was a terrorist? No way. Probably bumped into him by accident and saw the gun. That's Miller. Accidentally heroic. Too stupid to understand what he did. Danny stared at his boots. They were tied. Just not the regulation way. Never the regulation way. He tried for 2 years to learn the proper method. It just didn't work for his brain. So he tied them his own way. Which was wrong. Always wrong. I heard he failed another inspection yesterday, Corporal Davis said, not bothering to lower his voice. Day after saving Michael Jackson. Failed another inspection. That was true. Sergeant Williams had inspected Danny's uniform the morning after the concert. Found 17 violations. Untied boots. Unshined brass. Crooked name tag. How do you save the biggest star on earth on Monday and fail a basic inspection on Tuesday? Another soldier laughed. Because he's an idiot who got lucky. Yeah, probably. Danny wanted to explain. Wanted to tell them that he had noticed the terrorist. That the patch didn't match. That the boots were wrong type. That the rank insignia was positioned incorrectly. But Danny had learned not to argue. Because when you're the worst soldier in the battalion, nobody believes you even when you save Michael Jackson. They just assume you got lucky. Private Danny Miller, 22 years old, U.S. Army, stationed at Ramstein Air Base, West Germany. The worst soldier anyone had ever seen. Couldn't march in formation. Couldn't shoot straight. Couldn't remember radio protocols. Couldn't tie his boots the regulation way. Failed every single inspection for 2 straight years. And 2 days ago, he'd saved the king of pop's life. By noticing the things nobody else noticed. By being obsessed with details that didn't matter. By being exactly what his sergeants said he was, too focused on stupid uniform inconsistencies. But try explaining that to a battalion that had already decided you were worthless. Miller got lucky. That was the story. That's what everyone believed. That's what would be written in the official reports. Even though Danny Miller had seen what trained security professionals missed. Even though his uselessness as a soldier was actually hypertension to detail. Even though being bad at inspections meant being good at noticing when something was wrong. But nobody cared about that, because Danny Miller couldn't tie his boots right. And in the Army, that mattered more than saving the King of Pop. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Army Story so you never miss these true tales of unlikely heroes. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? And have you ever been good at the wrong things? Microphone Military Medal, September 1986. Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Basic training graduation. Private Danny Miller stood in formation, wearing his dress uniform. Barely. The uniform was a disaster. Boots untied. His way, not the regulation way. Name tag crooked. Brass unpolished. Ribbons slightly off-center. Miller. Drill Sergeant Patterson yelled, "Your boots are untied." "They're tied, Drill Sergeant. Just not. Not the regulation way. How many times do I have to tell you?" "I'm sorry, Drill Sergeant. I'll fix them." "You've been here for 10 weeks. 10 weeks. And you still can't tie your boots properly." Danny looked down at his boots. He tried. Really tried. The regulation method just didn't work in his brain. The loops went the wrong way. His fingers fumbled. It never came out right. So he developed his own method. Double knot. Tight. Secure. Just wrong. "Miller, how did you even pass basic training?" another drill sergeant asked. "I don't know, Drill Sergeant." That was true. Danny didn't know. He'd failed almost everything. Marching. rifle qualifications, equipment maintenance, every inspection. But he'd passed the minimum requirements, barely, by the thinnest of margins. And now he was being shipped to West Germany, Ramstein Air Base, Support Battalion, the place where they sent soldiers who couldn't cut it in real combat units. Perfect for Danny Miller. When Danny arrived at Ramstein in October 1986, his new commander took one look at his file and sighed. "Miller, according to your basic training reports, you're borderline incompetent." "Yes, sir. Can't march. Can't shoot. Can't maintain equipment. Can't follow basic uniform regulations." "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir." "Why are you still in the Army?" I don't know, sir. I try really hard. I want to be a good soldier." The commander studied Danny, 20 years old, earnest, well-meaning, just completely incapable of doing anything right. "We'll assign you to support duties, equipment inventory, warehouse work, things that don't require precision." "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." And for the next 2 years, that's what Danny did. Warehouse work, inventory, cleaning, the jobs nobody else wanted, while failing every single inspection, while being mocked by every soldier who met him, while being known as the worst soldier on base. Until September 1988, until Michael Jackson came to Germany, until Danny was assigned security duty for the biggest concert in military history, until being the worst soldier became being the only one who could save the king of pop. September 1988, Ramstein Air Base, West Germany. The entire base was electric with excitement. Michael Jackson was coming. The Michael Jackson, king of pop, the biggest star on the planet, fresh off selling 33 million copies of Thriller, currently on the Bad World Tour. And he was bringing that tour to Ramstein to perform for U.S. troops stationed in Germany. 50,000 soldiers would attend. The largest USO concert in European history. Soldiers from every base in Germany, some flying in from other countries just to see the show. Michael Jackson, live, in front of American troops. It was all anyone could talk about. "You think we'll get to meet him?" soldiers asked each other. "I heard he's doing Billie Jean and Thriller. This is going to be legendary." Danny Miller heard the excitement, but he wasn't excited because he knew what was coming. Security duty. Miller. Sergeant Williams called him into the office. "You're on the security roster for the Michael Jackson concert." Danny's heart sank. Security meant inspection, which meant failing inspection, which meant more mockery. "Yes, Sergeant. You'll be assigned to backstage hallway duty. Station 12. It's simple. You stand in the hallway. You make sure nobody unauthorized enters the backstage area. That's it." "Yes, Sergeant." "Miller, this is literally the easiest assignment possible. Stand in one spot. Don't move. Don't touch anything. Don't talk to anyone unless they try to enter the restricted area." "I understand, Sergeant." "Do you? Because last week you got lost walking from the mess hall to your barracks, and you've lived here for 2 years." The other sergeants in the office laughed. Danny's face burned. "I took a wrong turn, Sergeant. The barracks are visible from the mess hall." "Miller, in a straight line. How do you take a wrong turn?" More laughter. "I'll do better, Sergeant. Just stand in the hallway. Don't screw this up. This is Michael Jackson. The whole world is watching. We can't have the worst soldier on base embarrassing us." "I won't screw up, Sergeant." But Danny Miller had a talent for screwing things up. Not intentionally. Just his brain worked differently. Got distracted by details. Noticed things that didn't matter. Obsessed over tiny inconsistencies while missing the big picture. Like how someone's uniform patches didn't match their stated unit. Or how their boots were wrong for their deployment history. Or how their rank insignia was positioned incorrectly. Details that got Danny in trouble during inspections. Because he was supposed to be fixing his own uniform, not studying everyone else's. But 3 days later, those details would save Michael Jackson's life. Because Danny Miller would notice what every trained security professional missed. And the worst soldier on base would become the only one paying attention. September 19, 1988. Concert Day. Ramstein Air Base had been transformed. A massive outdoor stage constructed. Sound systems imported from the Bad World Tour. Lighting rigs. 50,000 folding chairs arranged in precise rows. The biggest event in the base's history. And backstage, Danny Miller stood at his assigned position. Station 12. A hallway leading to the dressing rooms. His job: make sure nobody unauthorized entered. Simple. Even Danny couldn't screw this up. He'd been inspected 3 times already. Failed all 3. Boots untied. Uniform wrinkled. Name tag crooked. "Miller, you look like garbage," Sergeant Williams had said. "But you're in the back hallway. Nobody important will see you. Just stand there and try not to embarrass us." "Yes, Sergeant." So Danny stood in the hallway, alone, watching. Around him, controlled chaos. Stage crew running equipment. Security personnel coordinating. VIPs being escorted. Media setting up cameras. Everyone had a job. Everyone was busy. Everyone was professional. Except Danny, who just stood there, at the worst assignment, because he was the worst soldier. At 6 p.m., Michael Jackson arrived. Danny caught a glimpse of him walking past, surrounded by bodyguards, wearing the iconic red jacket from the Bad Tour, the King of Pop. In person, Danny had never seen anything like it. The energy, the presence, the way everyone reacted when Michael Jackson walked by. This was the biggest star on earth. And Danny was 50 feet away, assigned to a hallway because nobody trusted him with anything important. The concert started at 7 p.m. Danny could hear it through the walls. The crowd roaring, the music starting. Michael Jackson's voice singing, "Wanna be starting something." 50,000 troops singing along. The biggest moment of their deployment. And Danny was in a hallway, alone, missing it all. But that was okay. Danny was used to being left out, used to getting the worst assignments, used to being the soldier nobody wanted around. At 8:30 p.m., during the middle of Billie Jean, Danny noticed him. A man in military uniform, walking toward the backstage area, moving with purpose. Danny straightened up. This was his job. Check credentials. Make sure people were authorized. "Sir, can I see your ID?" Danny called out. The man stopped, looked at Danny. "I'm with 3rd Infantry Division. Authorized backstage access." Something felt wrong. Danny couldn't explain it, couldn't articulate it. Just wrong. "Can I see your ID, please, sir?" The man pulled out military ID. Looked legitimate. Name, rank, unit. Everything correct. But Danny was staring at the man's uniform, at the patches, at the details, and something didn't match. Danny studied the man's uniform. Captain's rank. 3rd Infantry Division patches. Standard issue Army uniform. Everything looked right, except it wasn't. Danny noticed the patch first. Unit patch on the shoulder. 1st Cavalry Division insignia. But the ID said 3rd Infantry Division. Those didn't match. "Sir, your patch shows 1st Cavalry, but you said you're 3rd Infantry." The man looked annoyed. "I transferred units. Haven't updated my uniform yet." That made sense. Soldiers transferred units all the time. Took time to get new patches. But Danny was still looking, still noticing details. The boots. They were wrong too. Not the right type for someone stationed in Germany. These were boots issued for Middle East deployment. Different leather, different sole. Why would a captain stationed in Germany have Middle East deployment boots? "Sir, when did you transfer from 1st Cavalry?" 2 months ago." "Why are you interrogating me, Private?" "I'm a captain. You're a private. Show some respect." Danny's brain was screaming at him. Something was wrong. Multiple things were wrong. The patch, the boots. And now that Danny looked closer, the rank insignia. It was positioned incorrectly on the collar. Too low. Wrong angle. Someone who'd been a captain for years would never position rank insignia wrong. But someone who stole a captain's uniform might. "Sir, I need to verify your credentials with security headquarters." "Private, I don't have time for this." "Move aside." "I'm sorry, sir. I need to verify. The man stepped closer. Aggressive. That's an order, Private. Move. Now. Other security personnel were approaching now, hearing the commotion. Miller, what's going on? Corporal Davis called out. This captain's uniform doesn't match his ID, Danny said. Multiple inconsistencies. Patch wrong. Boots wrong. Rank insignia positioned incorrectly. Davis stared at Danny. Miller, are you serious? You're hassling a captain over uniform details. The details don't match, Corporal. Miller, you fail every inspection. Your own uniform is a disaster, and you're criticizing a captain's uniform. I'm not criticizing, Corporal. I'm saying it doesn't match. Something's wrong. The captain was looking nervous now, hand moving toward his waist. And Danny, the worst soldier on base, the guy who couldn't tie his boots right, the private who failed every inspection, made a decision. Sir, I need you to keep your hands where I can see them. Excuse me. Your hands, sir. Please keep them visible. Private, you're out of line. The man's hand moved faster, reaching for something under his jacket. And Danny Miller, operating on pure instinct, zero combat training, complete lack of tactical awareness, did something incredibly stupid. He tackled a superior officer. Danny and the captain hit the floor hard. Other soldiers yelling, rushing over, chaos erupting. Miller, what are you doing? Corporal Davis screamed. Danny was on top of the man, wrestling. No formal hand-to-hand combat training, just desperation. And then Danny felt it, under the jacket, strapped to the man's chest. A pistol, Glock 17, loaded. He's got a gun. Danny yelled. Everything changed in an instant. Security converged. The man fought harder, trying to reach the pistol. Danny pinned his arms. Don't move. Stay down. More security arrived. 3 soldiers piling on, restraining the man, pulling the pistol from his waistband. Check him for more weapons, someone shouted. They ripped open his jacket, found more weapons. A knife, another pistol, and something else. Explosives. A small bomb, packed into a vest under the uniform. Bomb. He's got a bomb. The backstage area erupted in panic. Soldiers scattering. Alerts going out. Yodi being called. Danny was pulled off the terrorist, held back while bomb squad arrived. The man was restrained, face down, screaming in German. German, not English. This wasn't an American captain. This was someone who'd stolen a uniform, forged an ID, infiltrated the concert. To kill Michael Jackson, Yodi carefully removed the bomb vest. Small but deadly, packed with ball bearings, designed to maximize casualties. The terrorist had planned to detonate it near the stage, during the concert, while Michael Jackson was performing, would have killed the king of pop and hundreds of soldiers in the blast radius. All prevented because Private Danny Miller noticed wrong uniform patches. Security officers surrounded Danny. How did you know? His patch didn't match his unit, sir. And his boots were wrong. And his rank insignia was positioned incorrectly. You noticed all that? Yes, sir. The details didn't match. The officer stared at Danny, at his untied boots, his wrinkled uniform, his crooked name tag. Miller, you're the worst soldier I've ever seen. Can't pass an inspection to save your life. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. But you just saved Michael Jackson, and probably hundreds of troops. Yes, sir. By noticing uniform details. Yes, sir. The officer shook his head. You fail every inspection because you're too busy looking at other people's uniforms instead of your own. Yes, sir. That's my problem. That's not a problem, Miller. That's what saved lives tonight. The terrorist was identified, Klaus Hoffman, age 34, member of the Red Army faction, also known as Baader-Meinhof Group, a West German far-left militant organization, active since the 1970s, known for bombings, assassinations, kidnappings targeting American military and capitalist symbols. Michael Jackson was the perfect target, American icon, symbol of Western capitalism, performing for U.S. military forces. Killing him would be the ultimate propaganda victory. Klaus had spent months planning, stole a captain's uniform from a dry cleaner off base, forged military ID, studied security procedures, waited for the perfect opportunity. The Michael Jackson concert. Maximum casualties, maximum media coverage, maximum impact. He'd made it past 3 security checkpoints. Nobody questioned a captain in proper uniform with valid-looking ID. Nobody except Private Danny Miller, the worst soldier on base, who noticed the patch didn't match. Intelligence officers debriefed Danny for hours. How did you spot him, Private? His 1st Cavalry patch didn't match his 3rd Infantry ID, sir. Soldiers transfer units all the time. That's not suspicious. But his boots were wrong too, sir. Middle East issue, not Germany standard. You noticed his boots? Yes, sir. And his rank insignia was positioned wrong. Too low on the collar. Wrong angle. Most soldiers wouldn't notice that. I notice uniform details, sir. Gets me in trouble during inspections. Because you're so focused on other people's uniforms. Yes, sir. Can't help it. My brain just sees the inconsistencies. The intelligence officer made notes. The bomb vest contained enough explosives to kill everyone within 30 feet. Ball bearings packed around the charge to maximize casualties. Klaus planned to detonate during Billie Jean. Middle of the concert. Michael Jackson on stage. Maximum crowd density. Estimated casualties, 200 to 300 killed instantly. Another 500 wounded, including Michael Jackson. Danny felt sick, 200 to 300 dead, because of one terrorist with a bomb vest. Prevented because Danny noticed wrong patches. Private Miller, you saved the king of pop's life, and potentially hundreds of soldiers. I just noticed his uniform was wrong, sir. Most soldiers wouldn't have. Security professionals with years of training didn't notice. But you did. Because I fail inspections, sir. Too focused on details. That's not a failure, Miller. That's a gift. You just saved lives with it. But Danny didn't feel like he'd been given a gift. He felt like he'd gotten lucky. And 2 days later, when he failed another inspection, everyone would agree. Miller got lucky, but he's still useless. 2 days after the incident, Danny was back to normal life. Back to warehouse duty. Back to being the worst soldier on base. The story had spread. Everyone knew about it. Private Miller stopped a terrorist, saved Michael Jackson, and they were still mocking him. Miller got lucky, soldiers said in the mess hall. Bumped into the guy by accident. Miller's so incompetent he accidentally became a hero. Probably doesn't even understand what he did. Danny sat at a table eating alone, listening to them talk. I heard Miller failed his inspection yesterday, Corporal Davis said loudly. Day after saving Michael Jackson, Sergeant Williams inspected him. 17 violations. That was true. 17 violations. Untied boots, unpolished brass, crooked name tag, wrinkled uniform, unshined shoes. Same as always. How do you save the king of pop on Monday and fail inspection on Tuesday? A soldier laughed. Because he's an idiot who got lucky. Pure coincidence. Sergeant Williams walked by Danny's table, stopped, looked down at him. Miller, your boots are untied. Danny looked down. They were tied. His way, not the regulation way. Sorry, Sergeant. I'll fix them. You saved Michael Jackson 2 days ago, and you still can't tie your boots right. I'm sorry, Sergeant. Williams shook his head. You know what the officers are saying? They're saying you got lucky, that you didn't actually know Hoffman was a terrorist, that you were just hassling him about uniform details like you always do. I did notice the details, Sergeant. The patch. I know, Miller, but nobody believes it was intentional. They think you were being your usual annoying self about uniforms and accidentally discovered a terrorist. But Sergeant, it doesn't matter, Miller. You're still the worst soldier on this base. Still can't pass an inspection. Still can't tie your boots. Still useless for anything except standing in hallways. Williams walked away. Danny stared at his food. couldn't eat anymore. He'd saved Michael Jackson, prevented a massacre, stopped a terrorist, and he was still the worst soldier, still mocked, still considered useless. Because he couldn't tie his boots the regulation way, Miller got lucky. That was the official conclusion, the story everyone believed. What would be written in reports, even though Danny had noticed, had seen what security professionals missed, had trusted his instincts when everyone said he was wrong. But in the Army, being right didn't matter if you couldn't tie your boots properly. 3 days after the incident, Danny was called to the base commander's office. "Private Miller, you have a visitor." Danny walked into the office and froze. Michael Jackson was sitting there, the king of pop, in person, wearing his iconic red jacket and black pants, waiting to meet Danny. "Hi," Michael said, standing up, extending his hand. "You must be Danny." Danny shook his hand, couldn't speak, couldn't process this. "I wanted to thank you personally," Michael said, "for saving my life." You're welcome, sir." Michael smiled, that famous smile. "Your commanders told me what happened. You noticed my attacker's uniform was wrong? The patches." "Yes, sir. His unit patch didn't match his ID, and his boots were wrong, and his rank insignia was positioned incorrectly." "How did you notice all that?" "I notice uniform details, sir. Gets me in trouble. I fail every inspection because I'm too focused on other people's uniforms instead of fixing my own." Michael laughed, not mockingly, genuinely. "So you're bad at inspections because you're good at observation?" "I guess, sir." "Yeah. Danny, your sergeants told me you're the worst soldier on this base." Danny's face burned. "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I try really hard, but—" "Don't apologize," Michael interrupted. "They also told me you saved my life, and potentially hundreds of other people. That doesn't sound like the worst soldier. That sounds like someone who sees things other people miss." "But I can't tie my boots right, sir." "Do your boots work?" "Sir, your boots. You tie them your own way, right? Do they stay tied?" "Yes, sir. They stay tied. They just don't look regulation." "But they function?" "Yes, sir." "Then who cares if they look regulation? They work. That's what matters." Danny had never thought about it that way. "The Army cares, sir. I fail every inspection. Because you're being judged on appearance instead of function, on following rules instead of getting results." Michael pulled something from his jacket, a photograph from the concert. Michael on stage, the moment before the attack. He signed it. "To Danny, you saved my life by noticing what everyone else missed. Don't let anyone tell you that attention to detail is a weakness. It's a superpower. Thank you for being you. Michael Jackson." He handed it to Danny. Danny stared at it, tears in his eyes. "When people tell you you're the worst soldier," Michael said, "remember that you did something hundreds of trained professionals couldn't do. You noticed. You acted. You saved lives. That's not being the worst, Danny. That's being the best at what matters." Danny looked up at Michael Jackson, the biggest star on earth, telling him he wasn't useless. "Thank you, sir." "No, Danny. Thank you. You're a hero. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." But they would. The Army would continue to fail Danny on inspections, would continue to call him the worst soldier, would continue to mock him. Because in the military, looking good mattered more than being good. And Danny Miller would never look good. But he'd saved the king of pop. And Michael Jackson thought he was a hero. That had to count for something.